All right, everybody, welcome to A to Z Media Network, bringing you some content before the Heisman. The finalists tonight, we're going to talk about why Hutchinson should win the Heisman and go over some other awards. So let's get it. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to A to Z Media Network. Trying to bring you some content from Michigan since they don't play till New Year's Eve against Georgia, and we got Bronx Sports Jedi with us. What's going on, Kev?
Hey, salute to you, Zach. Salute to everyone on the Michigan faithful. Welcome. Let's get those likes and hit up the subscribe, and let's talk about it. Michigan football Heisman Trophy nomination tonight, and there's a lot of substance for Michigan Wolverine. Go right to it, Zach.
Yeah, so let's start off with the awards that were given. AP Coach of the Year is Mr. Jim Harbaugh. So congratulations to Jim, congratulations to the organization. But Coach Harbaugh, finally in his breakthrough season, wins the Coach of the Year. He is the first Coach of the Year since the AP was invented, since the poll was invented in Michigan history, and he's the first one in the Big Ten since Joe Paterno in 2005. So big win, not just for Michigan and Harbaugh, but for the Big Ten to finally get some more recognition and some more respect that they deserve, Kev.
Yeah, and phenomenal job. Patience is a virtue. When you could say that when it comes to Jim Harbaugh, I know he was under some fire, not beating Ohio State and all, but he is what he is. He's a program builder, and he's building you a good program, and his hard work paid off. Not just this season, since he's got there. Compared to, remember when you guys were with Rich Rodriguez to compared to where you are now. So a lot has come, good, bad, and endeavor. But Michigan right now is right now. Enjoy the season and enjoy Harbaugh, and salute to him putting in the hard work. And the proof is in the pudding. The guy works hard and smart coaching. You got a good guy there. You got a really good coach in good hands, your program, and he'd well deserve winning that award.
Yep, and not just him, because obviously he struggled in the first. He had a successful winning percentage. He had a good record, but a couple shortcomings. Against Ohio State, against ranked opponents, against the Big Ten, and just he finally broke through. But he changed while staying true to himself. He brought in new coordinators, younger guys and he let them have a little bit more freedom. While at the same time being the same Harbaugh and keeping the same style of team and style of play. But I got the top 10 vote getters here, and we're gonna just go through them real quick because there's something that surprises me about this, and you'll know right away. So Jim Harbaugh received the most first place votes of 22 out of 53, and got 103 total points. Number 2, Luke Fickell from Cincinnati, 16 votes, 88 total points. Dave Aranda from Baylor finishes third with 5 first-place votes. Mel Tucker from Michigan State finishes fourth. Kirby Smart from Georgia is fifth with 1 first-place vote. Blake Anderson from Utah State is sixth with 3 first-place votes at 11 points. Nick Saban from Alabama is seventh on the list with 1 first-place vote, only 9 points total. Dave Clawson from Wake Forest right behind him at 8 with 1 first-place vote and 6 points. And then University of Texas San Antonio, Jeff Traylor with 6 points, and Pat Narduzzi from Pitt as number 10 with 4 points. No first place votes. You surprised to see, before we get back to Michigan, you surprised to see Nick Saban down that low?
Yes and no. A 2-part question, because what happens with Nick Saban, he becomes furniture. What do you mean by furniture? It's like, when you have furniture in your home, you take it for granted. The sofa's there. The love seat or your recliner or your dining room table, and you're gonna sit down and eat there. It gets lovely the first time you get it, when you first buy it from the store. Delivery truck driver brings it in, and wow, oh, look at my sofa, I can't wait to sit on it. And then after a while, as it goes by, it's second nature. And Jim, and no knock on Saban, he's phenomenal program. They're always a national content, and they expect that. The bar is raising so high that it is what it is, and to see him seventh, it's just having it becomes second nature. It's having a typical Nick Saban type of year.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially Kirby Smart too, with Georgia being number one and then losing in the SEC, but barely being top five. I mean, that's pretty crazy. But Harbaugh, and another thing too for Michigan program, since the AP Coach of the Year in football was made, it's the first school. Michigan is the first school to sweep the AP Coach of the Year in football and men's basketball in the same calendar year. Juwan Howard won it last season, and the football award was established in 1998. So the first school since 1998 to win both in the same calendar year. Um, Pretty amazing. He was on the hot seat beginning of this year. They were ranked. They were unranked. They had a 4% chance to make the college football playoff, and here we are. They went 2-4 in the Big Ten's COVID schedule last year, small schedule, and Harbaugh took a pay cut. His buyout was reduced, like we talked about on the phone the other day, putting the school in a better position. Make a coaching change. I think this was his last. Prove it. You know what I mean? It was his prove it season. He did everything that he needed to do, and his quote from his brother was, "He's always been a great coach." His brother is Coach Harbaugh from the Ravens, of course. He's always been a great coach. All those that want to pile on, especially some of the local media there, then you have it back in your face. There you have it back in your face. That's how I look at it. He'd never say that, but I'll say it. It was his revenge tour. So you see obviously that's probably how Jim Harbaugh feels. What are your thoughts about that after all the hate and slander that he took all these years to finally be able to say, "Ha, told you so"?
That's the best way to shut up your naysayers. Win and action. I always say it. I said it. If you see me on the streams, action speaks louder than words. Your actions, because you could talk, stand behind a keyboard and act all puff your chest, but when your actions on the field and his team buying into it, it's the best revenge tour, Zach. The best. And the story's not finished for Michigan. There's still more games, and his story is the ultimate. The book is there's still a couple chapters left. Hopefully 2 more chapters or 3, for the Michigan program and Jim Harbaugh, and the rest of the program. So I'm looking forward. I'm excited to see the finishing chapters for him and going forward, and it gets the boosters off. And also, not only that, I mentioned it on your last stream, but it's going to help the recruitment so much. And Michigan's the hot right now. Let's be honest, from the northeastern quarter of the country, Michigan is the hotbed of recruiting. You like you said, the basketball with Juwan Howard, the Michigan Wolverine basketball team, phenomenal. I think the ladies had success. The ladies winter league sports won their national title as well. And they're all the athletic department for Michigan is doing a phenomenal job.
Yep.
And if you're a young student that is in high school and has aspiration of playing, you have your talented playing sports, and they're available to get a college. College is not cheap these days, and they're giving you scholarships, and you're going to be on the big stage. And now that you're able, some of the professionals are able to make some money. Michigan, not a bad place to come. And if you're a young student, young, up inspiring, talented athlete, to go to Michigan. It's a good school, reputable, phenomenal.
Yeah, great academics. I mean, yes, a lot of people in basketball or football go 3 years and done, or 1 and done. But you look at guys like Eli Brooks. He's a 5th-year senior for the basketball team. Amazing talent. But I'm sure he's becoming a pro prospect because he's even a better man now. Being at that school, being around Juwan Howard, being around that academics, it's such a historical program. I mean, the most winningest program in college football history as far as wins go. And then now it's starting to back up to its namesake. It's not just they were good 20 years ago. They're good now, like you said. This is gonna, and let them screw around and beat Georgia. And then maybe if they lose to Alabama or whatever the case, they make national championship game. A lot of kids are going to want to go there. A lot of kids are going to help them get over that hump and be that. They want to be that hero to bring a national championship back to Michigan. But speaking of coaches and help getting over the hump, another coach won an award this week. Offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach Joe Gaddis on Tuesday was named the winner of the Broyles Award, which annually goes to the college football's top assistant coach. Our Wolverines, well, you're not a Michigan fan. Yeah, I think I'm going to convince you. I think I'm going to convince you to become a Michigan fan. But that's neither here nor there.
Doing a
Um,
good job, though. I tell you that.
they ranked second in the Big Ten and 13th in the nation with 37.7 points a game, behind a balanced attack that averaged 224 rushing yards a game and 228 passing yards a game. It's hard to find better balance than that. The offensive line led the nation in fewest sacks allowed, only 10 all season allowed by the whole offensive line. It was the third fewest in tackles for losses allowed, 27 all year. I mean, from Penn State and Alabama, Josh Gaddis just slow couple years when he was a coordinator, but dang, did he get the players around him he wanted and the people that fit his system. And man, 224 yards rushing a game, 228 yards passing a game. Hard to find better balance than that, especially while you're not giving up any negative plays. 37 negative plays all year in 13 games.
Wow, phenomenal! It all started with that beatdown on Western Michigan, 47. The first look at your first three games, Zach, and this is a testament to the offense. 47 points they dropped on the first game, 31 points, 63 points on Northern Illinois. It shows right there, and then you say, well, those are
tune-up games,
power puff, yeah. But when you go now, when the season and the schedule got tough. You dropped 38 points on Wisconsin. I mean, 33 on on Northwestern, yeah, and in Nebraska, 32 points on the Cornhuskers. Those are good teams, good strong teams in your conference.
competitive,
Competitive,
good defensive teams.
Yeah, and it shows the offensive line, the way they dominated. And it starts with that, the trenches, and what a running attack, that the Michigan has. A phenomenal running attack game. And he got a good game manager as a quarterback. He's a good game manager, strong arm. You know me. I've been saying that I like his arm. I like what he brings to the table.
Also top 15 in QBR, so he can be more than a game manager as well when he needs to be. Like you say, make all the throws.
Yeah.
And that three-headed monster with Edwards, Corum, and Haskins, great running attack. But that offensive line does it for me. When you can have 10 sacks all year, less than a sack a game, you're doing something. And about two tackles for loss a game, you're averaging about under 3 negative plays a game. In rough math in my head, I mean that's ridiculous, Kev.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm being totally transparent. I'm not a big college football savant. Don't watch too much of it, but when I'm looking from highlights and stuff, I'm going to say the statement. I don't think there's a team in the nation that does the best jet sweep more than Michigan. That jet sweep from Michigan, phenomenal. They run that to perfection.
Yeah, and the reverse plays, flea flickers. They're the best trick play offense in football, I think, and they have to be because, like you said, they got more of a game manager style quarterback. Even though I love Cade, there's nothing against Cade, and they got a strong running game, good offensive line that flies off the ball. Receivers block really well too for receivers. If you look at it. What I'm saying is you're not a Ferrari. The offense is not like a exotic scheme or whatever. So you have to have the element of the trick play to keep teams honest instead of just stacking the box on you all day. And that's what they do. That's what they did against Iowa. That's what they did against Ohio State. That's what they do against every team. And it works because they're expecting Michigan just to pound the football, more of a pro style offense. And those trick plays, man, they work. They work to full effect.
Not only that, it's not much trick plays, is that they have the talent and they're playing to their elements, and they're utilizing their elements and where they're playing the nation, and they have the talent and the scheme for it. And that's great. That's why he deserves assistant coach of the year and head coach Harbaugh, because they're coaching. That shows coaching. They're coaching to what they have on there, and they're playing to the style that dictates where in the region of the country they're playing in. And that's why, that's why those accolades and those well-deserved awards belong to them, and well-deserved, because they're doing it properly. That shows that they have a pulse on the team. They have a pulse, and they're not delusional coaching staff trying to do something that they're not. Like you said, they're not trying to run like a Ferrari. They're running like a well-oiled 7 Series BMW. That's what they're doing, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's still a high-end car. It's just not the Ferrari, like, ooh, it's still, telling me you want a 7 Series BMW, of course. And it's nothing wrong with it. It's still luxurious. It still runs. And that's my analogous towards that.
Yep. And just, before we go to the Heisman talk, everybody's anticipating, just one more congratulations to the whole coaching staff. I know Harbaugh and Gaddis have won the awards, but Harbaugh will tell you, Gaddis they'll all tell you, it doesn't come without the whole staff, the whole organization, all the players buying in. So the awards for the team. Those two awards are for the team, and yeah, the coaches deserve it, but without the team, it doesn't happen, and without the rest of the coaching staff, it doesn't happen. But congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines on such a great season. Now let's get to the individual award. The best player in college football, the Heisman Trophy, kicking off tonight at 8 is the Heisman ceremony. The four guys that are in it: Alabama quarterback Bryce Young, Pittsburgh quarterback Kenny Pickett, Ohio State C.J. Stroud, boo. No, I'm just kidding. And Michigan's defensive end Aidan Hutchinson. So right off the bat, Kev, who's your favorite to win the Heisman, and why?
Man, I personally think it's going to be Bryce Young, but I'm rooting really hard for the defensive player, Aidan Hutchinson, the way he wrecked the game, and not because I'm here not because I'm here on your podcast and talking about the Michigan football, and not to throw roses to you guys Wolverine fans, is that I seen with my eye test, and he just wrecked the game, the Ohio State game, the way he just totally dominated that game, especially when you said when he audible in there to stop the run and stuff, that he did it twice. He did it in the Big Ten title game, breaking
And
records.
the Ohio State game was in the red zone in
Yes.
third and goal
Yes.
to get a stop. That was a huge play in the game. The defensive end called an audible to let him know it was running. Something that Mike Backer always does. Sorry to interrupt.
No, for good. Thank you for helping me out with that one, because sometimes I tend to lose memory a little on some of these games that I watching so much attention.
Yeah. We do a lot
of and to see them stuff, and not only that, it also helps now. It frees your linebackers to do other things, and him wrecking it on the line of scrimmage and causing now linebackers could do more and cover in coverage and provide coverage sacks and just disrupt the game plan, on not just the running game, but the passing game. And to me, that's something big if you're considering him for the national, for the Heisman Trophy award. And he's the only defensive player on the ballot. So, if you're a defensive savant, and this is, and we know that all the leagues are offense. It'll be nice to be a change of pace to give this to a defensive player. I'm rooting for it. I'll be watching 8 o'clock, hope for, but Vegas likes Bryce Young. Hey, it could be a chip on. It could look at this way, Michigan fans. It could be a chip on the shoulder if Aidan Hutchinson thinks he wins the thought he won it and he doesn't get it. It's going to just motivate him. And hey, Aidan, if you think that, show that they made a mistake and go out there and destroy the Georgia Bulldogs. Just go in there and just wreak havoc and say, you know what? Take your SEC garbage. I belong with the Heisman, and and make a statement. Wreck it, a la LT style. And
he's a 3-level impact player. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by that to the chat? I know you pretty much describe what I mean. He disrupts the line of scrimmage with the run and the pass game. And since he disrupts the line of scrimmage, then he disrupts the second level. When you run the football, you try to get to the second level, and then the third. That's your goal. But when he destroys one side of the line, getting a double team and making certain audibles or certain things, the linebackers fly to the football easier. The other edge gets sealed off easier because David Njoku never gets double teamed. Or you can't double team both of them, and then the middle's disrupted. Like, what do? And then since you have less time to throw, it's a free for all in the safety. You're gonna get you're in the secondary. You're gonna get hurried. You might get sacked, so you got to get rid of the ball quicker. Cause a couple turnovers. He's hard hitting. He can force fumbles. And 58 tackles this year and 14 sacks in only 13 games. And it's a single season record for Michigan, and it's second all time in all of college football in the FBS. So think of every single edge rusher that's ever done anything in the pros has been to college. He's number 2.
Wow.
As far as college goes. If that doesn't show, and Ndamukong Suh back in the day, he had Heisman consideration.
Yes.
And of course, Charles Woodson won the Heisman for Michigan. I think and Jabril Peppers had consideration. So Michigan has a history of turning out Heisman caliber defenders. With Michigan's story, I wouldn't underestimate him because Bryce Young, he did it against good teams. Yes, he beat Georgia. He also has an extremely talented team around him. He could be looked at as the guy that just has the keys to the Ferrari and he gets to drive it. Like just drive it, don't wreck it, don't mess nothing up. He's talented as all get out. I'm not, but let's see him with less talented players around him. People could say you could make that argument against Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud because C.J. Stroud had 3 1,000-yard receivers, was the clear-cut Heisman favorite until someone from Michigan leading a defense disrupted them and beat them. Oh, God, I wonder who that was. Oh, yeah, Aidan Hutchinson. He 7 tackles, 3 sacks, destroyed that team almost single-handedly at times with the audibles, with 3 sacks, just disrupting. And they game plan for him every single week. Their thing is stop Aidan Hutchinson. That's every team that goes against Michigan. You got to control 97. You got to double team him. You got to chip him. You got to chop block him. You got to do whatever you can. And he still gets home. He still does things, and he's great against the run, just as good against the run as he is against the pass. He wrecked C.J. Stroud's Heisman chances. You could sit there and say, well, if he played Bryce Young, maybe he could do the same thing. He's literally been one of the biggest reasons why Michigan's gone as far as they have and why they're back in relevancy for national title contention. I think he gets more consideration than people think he's going to. I don't know if he wins, but I think he gets a lot more consideration. And even at the end of the night, whether he wins or not, people are going to be like, wow, he got that many votes? So I think he's got a shot. I think he's got a shot, Kev.
Well, let's see. We shall hope. Let me ask this question to you, and if anyone in the chat or if willing and free to write it in on Twitter, anyone that's watching us there, I know we're going to get the viewers in there. Let me ask this question: if you were to remove Young from Alabama or Hutchinson from Michigan, who's going to have the greater loss on their team?
Oh, Michigan by far, because I mean, whether it was Mac Jones, Tua, Jalen Hurts, I mean, they pretty much become a pretty decent quarterback factory. I mean, they're not going to be all-time greats in the NFL, but they've had good quarterback after good quarterback after good quarterback. And it's just wow. If you lose Aidan Hutchinson, I mean, David Njoku could probably take double teams, but David Njoku's great, but I think Aidan Hutchinson's a better football player at this point. David Njoku's obviously going to also be a first-round draft pick, so that's a good problem to have if you're picking between those two. But I mean, Todd McShay, all those guys that do the prospect thing consider Aidan Hutchinson as the number 1 player in college football, number 1 player in the draft. So if everybody pretty much is right, that's writing and that's watching the games, that's seeing the games, is saying he's the best player in college football and he's the number 1 pick prospect and all that, what's the credentials of the Heisman? It's not who's on the most prestigious national championship contender. It's not who's the best or who's on the best school or the most favorite school or the richest school. It's who's the best player in college football. Right. So if Aidan Hutchinson's the best college football player, that's completely, it's undisputed by a lot of people. Why isn't he a favorite for the Heisman?
Right, but him being considered and being there on the dais for tonight says a lot as well for a defensive, especially like this is an offensive, pretty much, let's be honest, Heisman is mostly offensive rated award, and for him to be there on the dais to be part of it, and I think he's like 3rd odds-on favorite. Vegas has it. It says a lot, and I think he'll be the first defensive player off the NFL draft board immediately. Once the draft were to start, I think he'll be the first off.
He's number 2 in the favorites right now. He's
behind.
He's behind Young. Young is a huge favorite. I think it's. I don't even go with the numbers. He's way favored, heavily favored. Then it's Aidan Hutchinson. Then it's C.J. Stroud. Then it's Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh.
Gotcha. Yeah, Bryce Young is minus 3,500. Yeah, I'm looking at that right now.
But at the same time, I mean, if he's the best player in college football, which he is, Todd McShay, Mel Kiper, all the writers, everybody claim he is. Because if that Bryce Young kid was so good, why wouldn't he be the number 1 pick in the draft? It's about best college football player. It's not about best quarterback that could throw the football to a bunch of first round draft pick receivers all over the place, and it's about who's the best player, who impacts the game the most, who's the most valuable. Like you said, I think it's Aidan Hutchinson is the Heisman, whether he wins it or not. That's mine.
Yeah, we definitely shall see with that. And then I'm interested. I'm interested to see with that and his reaction. I know he's gonna take it gracefully, but I want to see him on the field. Is that gonna be, and I don't think he needs any more fuel to motivation. I'm not saying that's gonna be a fuel for motivation, but wow, if he wins it, it's going to be wow. It's like a dream season. They're sweeping awards, and if he doesn't, it could be used as a motivational tool and go out there and wreck the playoff game against Georgia. So like I was saying, not to be redundant, but yeah, I think that's exactly what is going to happen if he doesn't win. And that it's all good right now. Positivity for Michigan, all in all, despite winning or not winning.
Yeah, and something, to fuel the fire. Not that we need any more reasons to hate Ohio State, Michigan fans, but C.J. Stroud was asked, I believe last night. The question was, what was your Heisman moment? What made you think you should win the Heisman? Okay, and Hutchinson and Young and Pickett were all like, oh yeah, when my team did this, when my team did that, the team should win the Heisman. They were very politically correct, I want to say, like in their answers. They were humble. CJ Stroud says, my touchdown against Michigan that got called back for holding, my rushing touchdown, I think that would have gave us the chance to come back and win if the refs didn't help Michigan out.
That's not gracious.
You got beat down by the Michigan Wolverines. Take it. Move on. You're not winning the Heisman. You couldn't beat little old Michigan. You couldn't beat your little brother that you beat up on all these years. Take it. Move on. You know what I mean? I don't know. But with that being said, Kev, anything else before we wrap it up here? Just a quick video. I just didn't want to take too much time. Just wanted to give you guys some stuff to help us get over that hump because we're all anxious for December 31st.
Yes, December 31st. It's going to be a battle. I can't wait. In the Orange Bowl in Miami Gardens. I can't wait. I'm not that far away. Contemplating on going. If the tickets are reasonable, I might make that trip down there. It's only a couple hours away from myself to be in attendance. Again, I am not a Michigan a fan or alumni, but hey, you're persuading it, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying this ride. I am a fan of Harbaugh. I do wanted to mention there's a lot of rumblings. Yes, I am a New York Giant fan. There's a lot of rumbling of trying to poach John Harbaugh to the Giants, giving him control of the franchise. Let him build that program in New York. John Mara, Tisch, there's been a lot of talks. They have an opportunity here. They have draft picks 4, 5, and 6, if I'm not mistaken, or three really top first round picks. Where remember the first few picks are going to be quarterbacks and so forth. They could move and he could actually be drafting some of his players, Hutchinson. Not what like you were saying, and he could start building the Michigan Giants if he wanted to, So the Wolverine Giants, you never know, and there's a $2 million buyout if he decides to leave to go to the pros, and next year it goes down every year after that. I think it's 500,000 the following year. But the Giants, they're gonna need a new general manager. They stink. They stink this year. Joe Judge is on the fence as a head coach, and one of the names is him. He's a program builder. He is successful at what he does in coaching football. Now, whatever he does outside of the college football ranks or the behind the gridiron, that's not our business. Like him or don't like him, but he is a hard worker and he provides X's and O's. So keep an eye on that. It's going to be a lot of traction. There's smoke, and when there's smoke, sometimes there's fire.
Well, I'll try to be as objective as I can. Considering the jerseys behind me and how much I hate the Giants, it would be so weird. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think,
right.
At least not yet. I think he's solidified he's going to be at Michigan for a long time, especially after this season. At least he's going to see it through a couple more years. But if that were to happen, I would hate life because I'm so used to, like, for example, Zeke Elliott from Ohio State. Hated him in college, love him since I'm a Cowboys fan now. Other guys that have come from Michigan State, Ohio State, Iowa, teams that I don't like in the pros that I end up having to root for because they're on my team. I'm used to that now. What I'm not used to is rooting it would be rooting for Harbaugh, giving him all his flowers, praising him and all that. 1 week, and then was it the Giants? Oh, he won't get it done. He won't build this team. He can't do it. I would turn automatically into a hater. That would suck because I love Harbaugh, but that would be a smart move if the Giants could get him. I'd pay $10 million to buy him out because the guy, he built Stanford up from nothing with Andrew Luck. He then built up the San Francisco 49ers with Colin Kaepernick and that team, and got to a Super Bowl, lost a heartbreaker to his brother. The lights went out mysteriously. There was a lot of stuff. I think Jim should have won that game. It's neither here nor there, but he takes teams to levels they haven't been to in a long time or have never been to at all. And then Michigan, Big Ten champions, beat Ohio State, delivered on his promise, and they've all played the same way: gritty, run first. A quarterback that's pretty much a glorified game manager, but it can make certain plays to win you games that normal game managers can't make. I think it would take him some years to build a Giants program that way, but I think he'd get there. Great defense, great. He'd build any program he goes to at this point. He's done it at both levels, college and pros, with multiple teams in college, and that would be his second team in the pros he'd build up. So
look for that. Look for that, especially one thing that was a telltale sign. If Michigan gets into the national title game and they win it, I could see him even quicker persuading them go on the move to the pros and leaving the offensive coordinator who just won, that his award as elevate him to head coach. You're keeping you're still keeping everything in place there. Harbaugh just being removed and going up to the elevating. Everyone gets a promotion if you look at it. Although some people say going into professionals is not really a promotion. You want to stay in college where you can make eons of money and stay on your job for many years. You don't have to start moving in that, like they say, when you get hired in the pros, is the first day you're closer. You're getting one day closer being fired. That's the relative when they say when you get hired in the pros, you want to know when is your expiration date because they don't last long. But with that said, I could see Harbaugh. He like you said, he already accomplished all these here. What is there for him to accomplish? What's going on, David? David in the building. Salute to David Reyes.
Yes, it is without question. He is probably going to win the Heisman. I'm not, but just the argument that we're presenting is, and thank you for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like this content. New channel here. Thanks for having us, Davey. Let us know where you're checking in from if you'd like to. If not, it's all right. But I think Bryce Young will probably win the Heisman. I'm not saying he won't. It's just when multiple people all over the place, not just Michigan centric, not just a biased Michigan fan, but my friend here who's not a Michigan fan yet. I'm convincing him. But when guys are saying he's the best player in college or he's the number one prospect in the draft, he's the best defensive player in football, all these things. He literally almost single-handedly helped us slow down Ohio State's offense. I know it's a team sport. All 11 on defense got to fly to the ball, but he disrupted things and moved bodies and did things, called audibles, things I've never seen defensive ends do. When he's clear cut away the best player in college football, he should win the Heisman. And whether that was Ndamukong Suh back in the day, he should have had more Heisman consideration. Or other defensive players. I'm not just saying it because he's a Michigan guy. I'm saying because he's clear cut best football player in the game right now in college football, in my humble opinion. Bryce Young's great. He's also got great talent around him, and they make it look easy. Alabama always does. Even when it's Jalen Hurts or other guys, other quarterbacks that wouldn't even sniff the pros, they make them look great. Same in Ohio State. Dwayne Haskins. I mean, JT Barrett. There's guys looked like Heismans every year. They did nothing in the pros. Aidan Hutchinson has a chance to be a Hall of Fame NFL player, and he's the best player in college right now, in my opinion. You can't. You got to go again. He completely ruined C.J. Stroud's Heisman hopeful chances. He was part of that team that did that. You got to give him more consideration, is what I'm saying. But hey, Kev, give us your last shots before we close out here. Any predictions, bold takes? Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to say something real quick about this year. The SEC. They weren't their conference weren't too strong with them with a lot of ranked players. I mean, Alabama, LSU's not the same. You see they're getting a new head coach. Auburn, Ole Miss, maybe Ole Miss. Georgia was the only really Alabama. The Gators aren't the same team as they were before. They're going through some new transition. The point is they're not as strong as we think they are. So we want to right away give that my Heisman Trophy to Bryce Young. Hold on a minute. There's some good players in the Big Ten here. The Big Ten has some good teams: Maryland, Wisconsin, Iowa. Rutgers on the their rebuilding program. But I don't know. I still say SEC still a top conference, yes, but not far behind. And I'm hoping that the college football playoffs, Big Ten makes a noise. Michigan, make some big noise. Put your conference, make some noise. Let like they say in other places, we here. So we want to see the Big Ten, Michigan say we here kind of noise.
Mhm.
So let's hope, man.
Yeah, and you brought up a great point just to prove that some Alabama quarterbacks are overhyped. Tua Tagovailoa, you say he's pretty overhyped, right? He was just on a really good Alabama team, Kev.
Yeah, he's starting to show a little bit of signs of flashes here in the pros.
Okay.
And
Then he's not like a Heisman. He's not like a real Heisman.
There's no Joe Namath from Alabama on the froze levels.
Okay, so his brother is in Maryland, and he's very inconsistent. He has games where he looks like his brother in college. He has games where he doesn't. Is that because the supporting cast is Maryland and not Alabama? Would Tua have looked just as inconsistent with Maryland? That's what I'm saying. But Tua was a Heisman guy. Tua was a Heisman hopeful. My thoughts is Bryce Young wouldn't look as good as he does. And Kenny Pickett should get more, because would Bryce Young look just as good on Pittsburgh? Would he look just as good in Michigan? I mean, no. The answer is no, in my opinion. But anyway, man, my final shots is that Aidan Hutchinson should win the Heisman, even though it won't happen. And Michigan's going to beat the ever-living daylights out of Georgia. And I feel it. I feel it. I'm finally being optimistic. And Davey says, I'd like to see the Cincinnati Cinderella story. Me too. I would love to see Cincinnati knock off Alabama, and I'd love to see Michigan beat Georgia and have Cincinnati and Michigan in the college football playoff. Something different. You always see Alabama, or you see Clemson, Florida back in the day, or you always see the same guys. It's like, let's get something new.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And me, Cincinnati. I'm rooting for Cincinnati. Yeah, I'm not. Like I said, I don't have a college affiliate. I can say the closest college affiliate you think I have is UCF, and Cincinnati's in my conference, the AAC, and I would like to see Cincinnati, because I also was a lobbyist that wanted to see UCF at least get consideration in the playoffs when they were undefeated, and they beat Georgia. That's why I feel really good for you guys, Michigan, because I seen UCF beat Georgia in a predominantly dominant region. In I think it was in South Carolina, where there was more Georgia fans. UCF did the impossible. They went and they beat them. So I'm rooting hard for Cincinnati as well on that bracket, and because I would like to see that, like you said, something different. It will captivate me as a non-college football fan to want to see that, because it's not the same, the same two teams. It's a different storyline, a different, outcome. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look. Let's see there's other things around. Doesn't revolve. College football doesn't need to revolve around the SEC. I know they're big, but doesn't need to, and that's my point.
Well, this year we had, if you looked at our ranked at the end of the season, the Big Ten's ranked teams on average. I know Georgia had Georgia at number 1, and they had Alabama at 3, but before the conference championships, I'm talking about, Davey, and it was they had more ranked teams in the top 15 and top 20 than the SEC did. They had more rank. I mean, they're still. It's like the SEC ever since the last 20 years has always gotten the favorite and always gotten the funny games. Like all of a sudden, Alabama can't do nothing against Georgia in the first quarter, and then all of a sudden they run away with it. Like if you look into that, the SEC got $8 million for 2 teams in the playoff instead of $4 million.
I smell conspiracy theory.
Did they take a dive? I don't know. Were they told to take a dive? I don't know. But they both ended up in the playoff. Like they always get that treatment. In my opinion, Michigan and Ohio State, or the Big Ten, has never gotten that treatment. Penn State went to the Rose Bowl 5th in the nation when they should have been in the playoff. I'm a Michigan fan saying that. There's teams that, yes, they're carried by he said it perfect. They're carried by 2 or 3 teams every year. And the Big Ten's deep. Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan State. Normally four of the best 5 teams in the Big Ten all play in the same Eastern Division. It's not like Georgia and Alabama for some reason. I mean, yeah, they're really far apart from each other, but they're in 2 different sides of the conference. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, and then you got Wisconsin on the other side, Iowa. You see how good those teams always are. We never get that easy cakewalk schedule. We don't get to play A to Z Media Network State. We don't get to play Bronx Sports Jedi Southern.
Yeah.
That's the type of teams that Alabama and Georgia get to play. I mean, South Carolina Southern, who is that? Why is the number 1 team in the nation playing them? UAB, why are they playing them? We get to play Michigan State, then Penn State, then Ohio State, then Iowa, back to back to back to back. I mean, which one of those teams will do that? That's why also Aidan Hutchinson dominated in all those games, even though we lost one. He's the Heisman. He dominated against great teams, not just terrible teams, great teams. That's why I think he should be the Heisman, even though it won't happen.
Yeah, you're making a strong. You're preaching to the choir. You're making a good point, and hey, they just got to go out there and win. And so they could start recruiting and bringing eyeballs, bringing more young high school players that want to play these places. He's got a good comment there.
So this is why I think the committee should have put in Oklahoma State over Georgia. It will prevent teams thinking the conference championship games don't matter as long as they are undefeated. Well, I mean, Oklahoma State did lose to Baylor, so if you put them in over Georgia, then it doesn't change because they lost by 1 inch versus Baylor. Yeah, but they deserve to be in more. Yeah, but
then you have Notre Dame. Then you have Notre Dame coming out of nowhere.
Notre Dame doesn't have a conference. If you wanted to show them that, but they lost to Cincinnati. It's the only situation. The only solution to this problem is to make it 6 teams at least, the college football playoff. That way, you don't have to fight over Oklahoma State or Notre Dame or Georgia, even though Georgia got blown out. Okay, I understand Georgia got blown up. If you move it to 6 teams, Georgia and Oklahoma State and Notre Dame or whoever get in, Ohio State maybe, and you're like, okay, prove to us why you're supposed to be in this. Okay, they lose first round, they weren't nothing. That's why you were never in before. Sit down. You know what I mean? So they need to expand it to 6 games. It's only 1 extra game if you do a bye or whatever the case. It's not many more games. You're still below the threshold of an NFL regular season as far as game totals go. You have so many days off in this time of the year before bowl season. And the conference game should be a requirement. Yes, it should. But what I'm saying is if you expand that, it's going to make more money. And college football is all about money. And, so – and then you got a Cinderella story. You mean to tell me it wouldn't be awesome to see Cincinnati go against Oklahoma State? Something different? Or, the Cinderella team, the 6th seed goes all the way? I mean, it probably won't happen, but you have that chance now. You have more guys that don't just want to go to Alabama or Georgia or Clemson. You got guys that want to go to other teams because we'd have a chance to be in the college football playoff. You'd have so many more opportunities. My opinion, it should be a 6-team college football playoff.
And what you said with that 6 teams, that balance, there now recruitment, you get parity because now you could recruit kids. Well, I could still go to this college because I still have an opportunity. I could be closer to home, or I would go to this college because it is in this city, and I could concentrate on my academics as well, and I could still be able to play in a national title game, or in the playoff system. And I don't have to go to the usual suspects. Maybe there's a kid. I live in Florida, and my son doesn't want to move out of a little bit out of Florida and want to go experience some cold weather and go up north, or kids in the north region want to come down, to another school, UCF, down here in Orlando, and because it's nice warm weather and so forth. And there's an opportunity for them to play in the playoff system, with 6 teams. And you know what? I have my cake and eat it too. Those type of things open up parity and balance. And it's not usually, some kids might not want to go to Alabama. They might not fit. I'm a city guy. I don't want to go to Alabama, to country. But that's my better opportunity. I'm gonna feel homesick, lost. It's not gonna work out. And now when you allow parity and allow teams that you have a chance, now you look for UCLA, to be a big powerhouse coming up if they're allowing teams to parity. I like the 6 game because you could give the first 2 teams a bye, and you still have weeks. You could still play. This week they could have been a game, or next, after, or even after the Army Navy game, you still have 2 more weeks that you could play some games before New Year's, and then you could still keep in schedule. But I think 6 is the number. I think 8 might not work because then you're extending the week more, the season a little longer. I don't think they want to go anymore because you don't want to hamper into the NFL playoff. So you want to get your national title game just where it is. So I think 6. I think 6 is fine, Zach. I like your thought and your proposal.
I would love 10 spots just because every conference champion gets a spot and makes your conference matter. It makes being in a conference matter. A la Notre Dame, get in a goddamn conference, please. Stop screwing around. But things like that. But at the same time, yeah, that's the one reason why it wouldn't happen. You don't want to get into the NFL time, because then you'll have an arrival. The NFL and the NCAA, they always try to get along and help each other make money and all that stuff. That wouldn't happen. As much as Davey's comment made a lot of sense, because that would make it pretty much exactly the amount of games as an NFL regular season, and they could start it earlier or start the NFL a little bit later. There's a way they could work it out, but I just don't think the NFL is going to change their thing for anybody other than themselves to make more money. And the NCAA would have to work around it. But I would love to see that, just to see all the conferences in there. You don't have why can't UCF get in just because they're in a worse conference? Well, win your conference and you'll get in.
Right.
That would be awesome. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to work. But with that,
and you keep your recruitment in state sometimes too, because your college state. I mean, you know what? I'll stay here, and it works. Zach, good point. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, you're good. With that, I think we're gonna leave that be the last thing. To Davey Rays, thank you for tuning in, and everybody else that tuned in and didn't comment. Kev, thank you for joining us again.
My pleasure.
Davey, make sure while you're here to go like and subscribe to Bronx Sports Jedi's network. He's pretty good. Just hit 2,000 subscribers. Great baseball stuff. Great combat sports, MMA and boxing, great basketball content. Give him a look if you like anything other than college football, because he's more than likely got it. And also, if you guys like the content here, please like and subscribe to A to Z Media Network as well. We'll be coming back again with another video, probably just a straight dive into a recap. A pregame analysis for looking forward to Michigan, Georgia. And I might even do a little Cincinnati, Alabama, just to cover the whole playoff. But with that being said, thank you guys. And 56 subscribers. Let's get that up and see you guys later.